Hi guys, welcome to part two or of Diary of a Disciple, and today I want to talk about becoming a wife. So um my journey of becoming a wife. I honestly did not know what I was in store for, you know? Um I truly believe, I truly wholeheartedly believe, and this is just me, my husband is every bit of a mirror of who God wants me to be, but also who God is to me. 'Cause the way my husband loves me, I know, I just know that there's a God in heaven and he loves me. But then I can also see different areas in my life that I need to fix when it comes to my relationship with God, and I see that through my husband. So there are things that my husband uh, pisses me off with or about, and um, I've learned I've learned that. Or one time I was just like praying to God about Jonathan and different things that I was like feeling because he was just. I feel like we were just in this constant battle about the same thing all the time. And I was like, Lord, like, what is this? Like, why did you do this? Why did you do this? And my prayer, the Lord revealed to me, you're so upset with your husband, but you don't do this to me. Like, you don't, this is what I need from you. And I was like, oh, okay. Um, there's a book called uh a prayer for you. What is this book called? I'll have to like take a picture of it and put it in the corner or something like that of the screen. I think it's called a prayer. Uh, oh, what is the powerful prayer of a woman? This is so crazy. That means I need to go pick it up again. But I read it and it's honestly helped me because prayer changes everything. Prayer changes everything. And honest to honestly, my husband is a great man. He is a great man, and he's never been a husband before, just like I've never been a wife before. But I did tell you guys, like, in the last video, that the reason why I really didn't want to be with him was because I knew how he dated, and it showed up in our marriage, like his just how he did things, his stance, and how he did things I didn't necessarily agree with. And so we would have friction because like when you get married, you two are becoming one, and so you're like merging. And there are certain things that I just couldn't get with, that he like, things that were just so natural to him. Like being a man and living by yourself, and man cave and bachelor pad. Like one of our first arguments was like, this house cannot stay like this. Like we no, like we need some order. And he thought I was just like changing him. Like this, he had like this whole meltdown because uh I wanted to redecorate the house. And it's like, this is my job. I'm trying to make the house a home. And so little stuff like that, we were like um at odds, and we could not like communicate. And so I've had to learn how to um Well, one, I'm still learning. I'm learning how to shut up, and it's hard. But two, learning how to fight. Like, and now, because like when we fight, we don't fight. I mean, it's not that we argue. But learning how to, I've since stopped really arguing with Jonathan, and I will just go pray. And I think the Lord has been, as I've been getting closer with the Lord, I've seen my marriage become a breeze. Like we still bicker, but it's never nothing serious. And I love that. I love that. Um, I'm as I feel like as I've been growing more with God, so has my husband. Like and it happened instantly because there was a time where I was just like, Lord, um, I like not like I need you to prove to me that you did this, but like, am did I hear you incorrectly? You know, like did I just jump the gun? Because what is happening here? I just felt like our house was just being attacked, and so is our lives. And I couldn't get, I just couldn't. I couldn't understand it for the life of me. And there were times where I was asking my husband, like, what makes this okay to you? Like, what in your brain says this is okay? And my husband is very stubborn too. So if two stubborn people just got together and it was just like, no, Lord, no. Um, and I've learned how to, like, when we fight or when we would fight, I got to a point where I would just go into my room and pray. And sometimes there isn't a quick solution or there isn't a quick resolve, but there has never been a time that I went to God about something that we were going through or something that I was dealing with him, or even just something that I was dealing with myself. Because I think when we got married, I actually started, well, because I never needed birth control before we got married, ever, because I wasn't having sex. So when we got married, I went on birth control, and then when we got to a point where we were like, it'll be okay for us to have kids or whatever. Um, Actually, no, I got pregnant on birth control and miscarried, and that was a few months into our marriage, actually. Um, and that hurt me to my core. But right after that, this all happened in the lifespan of it so quickly. I stopped taking it, obviously, but I stopped taking it. I was telling, right before we found out that I was pregnant, I was telling my husband, like, I don't feel okay. Like, this is making me, it was making me, I don't know. I just didn't feel good with it. So I told him I wanted to stop taking it, but he was like, well, what are we going to do? No, I don't know, but I can't take this one. At least not this one. Found out I wasn't pregnant, um, anymore. And then from there, um, started noticing different things in my body. Like I was just gaining weight out of nowhere. Don't know where it came from, and it wouldn't go away. Like I was working out and it would not go away. And finally, actually a year later, well, it'll soon be a year. I'm just getting diagnosed, and I actually don't even still have a proper diagnosis. I have one couple more follow-up appointments, and they'll tell me what's wrong. But That journey has been tough, like, because you're going through things physically with your health and emotionally and spiritually, but you still have to show up and be a wife. You still have to cook dinner, still have to clean, still have to, if you work, you still have to work. Um, and we're pet parents, and so I don't know. My first year of being a wife was rough because hold on a second. Hello.
Right. Ih, mudou o
Huh? Okay. Mm-hmm. Huh? Okay. Love you too. So, sorry. Um, I don't even know where I was, but it has been my first year of a wife was hard, like merging with someone and showing up the best way you know how, which is still not the best that it can be, right? Because when you become a wife, like that's a whole identity change, right? Like you still have your individual identity, but now you're someone's wife. Like you have to learn how to be a wife. Like everything that I was doing in my single life, obviously can't do anymore. But and I don't think that this is talked about enough, but like who we become when we're single, right? Um and the way that you had to become it. So I didn't live with my parents until I was engaged or until I was married. I was on my own. And so I've built this life on being the only provider for myself. Being, I had to be quick with making decisions, growing up in ministry and then having my own ministry and what that means. And so being able to do what I need to do as far as that. I've been making decisions on my own for a while before. So I have become um independent for the sake of survival for myself, right? And so now you and if you do it the right way, as and your husband is supposed to be the head of the household, when you get married, you really cannot have that um independency. Like your wife needs a husband and your husband needs a wife. And the way that God designed for a house to be is the man is the household and the woman is the helpmeet. And so I can't just make these decisions. I can't make financial decisions without talking to my husband. I can't just do whatever I want without, talking to my husband. And that was hard for me. Not the financial part. Like I love the way that we have, and I know like when I said that, if you're like a woman activist, you put that probably like pissed you off or whatever, but I don't care because I'm following what God has designed for me. So now in my household, because I'm the one that's good with numbers and budgeting and crunching, I take care of all of the things that are financial, but I don't make financial decisions. If that makes sense. Like uh I'll present to my husband like where we are, what our numbers are, and then we go based off of that. Like we'll say we'll do this, but I won't make a financial decision without him, and he really won't make one without consulting me. But yeah, like I had to learn how to let my husband be a husband. I had to learn how to let him be a man. And that doesn't mean that he's perfect and doesn't mean that he gets it all right all the time, but it does mean that he is walking in his structured calling of what God called him to be. And once he became a husband, he became the man of the household. So he has to lead and I have to follow. So I can't make these decisions for him. And so sometimes he'll ask me a question. I just be like, yeah, I don't know. What do you want to do? Like he'll be like, tell, like, and I love helping my husband. I love that he does that. But at the end of the day, you have to make the decisions because I don't even want to obstruct what God got going on. I don't want to, because God called you to this. And if you don't know what it is that God is saying, we can work on that. Like there's different conversations that we had about that. Like, how do you know that you're hearing God for yourself? And how can you lead without knowing what God is telling you to do? You know, and I love that. I love that. Um, and I think that because at first my stubbornness was like, I don't need a man to do this, da, 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 da. Or like, if I be like, hey, I need this for my office, and he'd be like, well, wait, like the go-getter in me, or the person that used to make decisions, and that's just like a little example. The the independent person in me will say, I'm just gonna go get it. I don't know what you're talking about. But the wife in me had to realize I'm out of order. I'm out of order. I'm out of order. And my marriage is gonna continue to be hard when I'm out of order. And the quickest way that God got me in order was to restudy my Bible. So because I'm in school, I kind of like, and I work in ministry, like I work for a church, and I'm always putting together lessons structured around the Bible. And so I'm constantly reading the Bible, but because of that, I haven't been like personally studying. I I don't even read books anymore just because of the fact that like I can't enjoy them. It's just so much material that I have been having to absorb um to get through school, and to just, so he told me like, you need to read. So I started reading, and it'll either be either first thing in the morning, or um like the thing I do right before I go to bed. Once I started doing that, and like sometime on my downtime, I will watch sermons and stuff just for me. I know one of my favorite people is Pastor Mike Jr., and God is always speaking to me through that man. Always. And so, but once I started diving into that, and it wasn't nothing serious, like once I started diving into that and praying more and praying for my husband, I think when I was praying for my husband, God was growing me, you know? And I've gotten to this place where I love being a wife, but I love the fact that I don't have to make decisions. I love it. And that doesn't make me less of a person. It doesn't make me less of a woman. It doesn't make me less of a minister. It doesn't make me less of anything. I still get to be exactly who God created me to be, without the pressure of also being uh without the pressure of societal norms, without the pressure of economy, of the economic system, without the pressure of anything. Like, if we're uh I remember one day we were talking, and I remember for me, because there was a time where I didn't have a job, and I was like, all right, I gotta do this to make sure that the bills are paid, or whatever the case may be. Whereas I remember one day, and all of our bills have always been paid, but it was something extra that we wanted to do. And or was it just planning our wedding? It was something. And Jonathan was like, I'll go get a second job. Not you need to go work, or you need to go get another job, or you need to do this. I'm gonna go get another job. Or my husband has a business. I'm gonna see if I can make this for this person. Like, the stress of our everyday lives, he takes that and he prays about it, and then we do what God is calling us to do. And I think that design is perfect because I shouldn't have to stress about, you know, that stuff. So I have truly loved becoming a wife and learning who my place was as a wife and learning who God called me to be. Um, Not just as myself, but as a wife too. So I show up more, I show up fully. Um, that doesn't mean that every day is perfect, and that doesn't mean that he don't still get on my nerves sometimes or whatever. But what it does mean is that we make a conscious decision every day to choose each other and to choose God and to keep God in the mix of our choices. And it has been a wonderful ride ever since. And we have been flourishing despite health problems that I have. Um, we have still been flourishing, and now we're believing God for a baby Jones, and we're excited about that journey and what God's gonna do through that. Um, but yeah, no complaints from me. But and I'm sure I'll have uh more videos on this topic by itself, just because um being a wife is like a daily thing, a everyday thing. So I'm sure um as God reveals to me different aspects of this journey, I'll share it with y'all because I don't mind, and I know somebody needs it. A young Christian woman who's becoming a wife and maybe at the same place that I was, because y'all, I've always been the person that made decisions for myself, right? Like I always consulted God, but I never like ran anything to anybody. If I believe God told me to do it, I was doing it. I don't care what you got to say. And so now it's like when God tells me something, I'd be like, I'll go to my husband, I'd be like, oh, I think we should, he's like, yeah, I was just thinking like that. And I'm like, phew. I'd be like, phew. All right, so the Lord told you to? Okay, cool. And I love that. I love that, like, when I believe that God is downloading something to me and he didn't tell, because there's some times where, like, I want to do something that my husband's just like, no. And I'd be like, bro. And so sometimes, like, the craziest things, I'll be like, God told me this. Or I don't say that. I just ask him a question. He'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, so you want to do that? But but I do love that. And I believe God does all things well, and he does things for a reason. And we should just trust him, because why not? But yeah, I love being a wife. I really do. I love being a wife. Um if you guys have come from in the house, if you have any topics that you want me to talk about, or you know, feel free to comment or send me a message or go on my website and leave. You could contact me on my website as well, and I'll do it. I don't mind. 'Cause I know my story can help somebody, so I'm open to sharing it. But yes, thank you guys for tuning in. I believe the next video will be a Faith Tales video. So remember, God's got your back through life's crazy commotion. Just remember to have faith and keep your devotion in motion. Oh, and go cop your Faith Forward merch and your Faith Forward ticket for the Faith Forward Conference 2026. I'll see you there. Doing a new